Hey, Somerset County, and welcome to the Scoop podcast. My name's Kira, and I'm the marketing coordinator here at the partnership. And alongside me is Chris, the president and CEO of the partnership. And today we are welcoming our guest, Marcus from SSP. Welcome.
Well, thanks for having me.
Thanks.
Good to be here.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Just to get started, would you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and the company SSP that you work for?
Yeah, sure. SSP Architects, small architectural firm here in Somerset County. Been around a little while, since 1891. Couple interesting facts. It was founded by the first licensed architect in the state of New Jersey and the longest continuously operating firm in the state. And recently found out that it's actually like the 22nd oldest company in the country. So that's kind of an interesting little tidbit.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
not much you can do with that in terms of getting business, but it's kind of a cool little fact. But
Definitely something you need on the homepage of the website, though.
Yeah,
right. But I started there 28 years ago, almost 29 years ago now, and started on the board, so hand drafting. So old school, hand drafting. I go back that far, and hand drafting. Started doing school projects, and that's a lot of what we do: school work, community work, civic projects, state projects, and lately expanding more into the commercial world and healthcare world. So just don't do a lot of residential work, but mostly in the educational world, and that's what attracted me to working there. But I've since, on my own story, kind of grown up from the lowly hand drafter all the way up to everything from drafting to running projects to now one of the owners of the firm. So.
all the way to the top.
And everything that comes with it, yeah.
Strategically navigating your way through retirements. That's what I've called it.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, the legacy of the firm is, it's been SSP or some version of SSP over the many years, and it's been a version of SS and P for many years, and we've kept that, even though there really isn't a P anymore, or there's one S now. But it's been a family business for many years. I mean, the first founder of the company was, handed it off to his son, and he started bringing in partners, and then in the '60s it was Frank Parentoni, and then Frank Parentoni handed it off to Jay and Jean Parentoni, and it's been in the family with them. And Jean Parentoni is still with us. No longer an owner of the company, but she's going to be doing her thing there with us for a little while yet. And now it's me, Scott, and Tammy running the show. So
Well, you definitely have a legacy with the company, with individuals. I mean, Jean was really helped get our Sustainable Somerset along with Ed Saliga up and running. She was a longtime board member. For those of you who are coming to our annual meeting, she'll have a role in our annual meeting, so stay tuned for that. But I think when you talk about a firm that has that type of legacy, how do you manage to keep the core principles and the core projects of the firm going, what you're known for, but also positioning SSP to be in a position to get projects for what the future looks like, whether it's school projects or just projects altogether?
Yeah, it's not easy because there's some pressure to maintain that integrity, if you will, and that's one of the things that I think we're known for, is just maintaining that integrity of doing the right thing on projects. So how do you maintain that over time? And it's really just staying involved with projects, communicating with people, and especially internally, just staying on top of projects and making sure that we hire the right people that have the right values and the work ethic, and being there every step of the way and navigating people through the project. So, but we can't rest on our laurels. I mean, so staying on top of everything that we do is a big part of it, because we can't rest on everything that's happened up until now, right? We have a lot of success over the years, but we can't exactly show projects that we did 50 years ago. We can't show projects that we did 20 years ago and expect that we're going to be able to get projects now, right? I mean, it's a different world than even 10 years ago, and we have to prove ourselves over and over and over again and still stay relevant. So, as far as moving forward, we just have to stay on top of, what is relevant to our clients in terms of what they need, how and what they're feeling, how they need us to be relevant and important to them, and what their pain points are. But then also the technologies that are going to make us do our work efficiently, right? And so it's not only the computers and things like that, but I don't want to dive too much into AI and things like that. Yeah. But those are the kinds of things that we have to just, between that, the AI and staying on codes and the technologies and just design and understanding the best practices of design and making sure that we're sharing that information with potential clients, right, so that information gets out to them. Because I sometimes I use the example of designing buildings that are healthy and attractive for commercial clients, right? To help attract employees, right? That's one thing that people are struggling with right now, right? Attracting employees and maintaining employees in their business. Well, design that we do can help with that, right? Mm-hmm. So that's one way that we maintain relevance and kind of help attract the business.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I think we talk so much about, in all different sectors of the partnership, when it comes to maintaining workforce, there's a lot of what could we do to help keep employees, but also attract employees. And we talk about EAP programs, we talk about work from home, but really the space itself is really important. I think there's no better example than the business partnership. So full disclosure, SSP was the architect for the Somerset Business Hub. So we went through the process the last, year and a half. Can you talk a little bit about the kind of, I know it's a long timeline of the beginning to the end when you're actually in the physical space, but can you give our listeners just a sense of what a typical timeline might look like from concept to reality?
And as you can imagine, it varies, depending on the project. Something like the Business Hub, from the time that you said, hey, we need to move out, we need to look for a new space, and oh, by the way, this is it. It probably took, about a year, probably 10 months to a year for that, say, hey, this is it, to the time that you were able to walk through the doors, right?
Right. And it's relatively quick for
something like this. It was pretty quick, yeah. Now, I can also share the example that when we were working on projects on the east end of Somerville here, 25 years ago, there was a project that started. It was a brand new building, 4-story building. From the time that developer said, hey, I want to do this building, to get the approvals, from the town to build it, he built that building in 6 months because he had a tenant who wanted half the building.
Right.
He built the thing in 6 months. 20 years later, he was building another building, a little bit bigger, but 2 years to build, get the approvals to build the building. And, times change, different approvals, supply chain issues, a lot of different things feed into why it was different, but a lot of different things can happen. So, to your point, yes, we help navigate that process, right? And we work with people who have not been through it before, and a lot of people who get nervous about, okay, what's next? I don't know what to expect.
He's talking about me.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, but you're not unusual in that regard, Chris. Because someone like you were in that old building 20 plus years, right? And so you don't go through this every day, and a lot of people don't, so they don't know what to expect, and that's what we help people do, right? We've been through it before, and part of it is taking that experience and helping them navigate through that. And we do that by just, confidently knowing what the next steps are and saying, okay, don't worry, this will come. There's a time for this. Or, yes, this looks like a mess now, but don't worry.
Well,
and I want to throw this back on you, because I can imagine that, yes, you had all those nervous moments, but was there not a time where you started walking through it and said, okay, I can see this coming together, right?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I think once the the walls came down here, and the least the part for the hub was because there was a bunch of smaller rooms that make up the current business hub. So once the walls were down, you could see the space that you had to play with. I could definitely say that there was some times during the project where it was extremely fun from my standpoint
Same.
of you picking out offices, furniture,
The different flooring.
yeah, and parts at this literally the same meeting were fun and then horrifying for me at the same time. And that's why Lydia and Kira were with me when it was, here are 8,000 colors of carpet that you have to pick out.
There were a lot of options.
And there are times when you said, "I don't know. What do you think?" Right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
And there were a number of times where you said, "Trust me, this is the way you want to go." And even when it started going in, you said, "I don't know," and I said, "Trust me." And once the furniture came in, you're like, "You're right, Marcus. I'm glad we went that way." And
Oh yeah, I think there's a trust of professionals, but I think until you see certain things, I think the biggest example for us was the carpet in the business hub. I remember being, "Ooh, that's busy. I don't know. That doesn't really fit a." And you were right, because I think for the much traffic as it gets, to have something that kind of covers up if there's a coffee stain or whatever the case may be. So there's things like that where it was, I'm putting some faith. But I will say, you and your team were always very confident in your decision making, and I think that plays a big part. I think that you could say that with any business, but I think especially, that was my experience with SSP, was you were confident in the call that you were making, which I think it made it easier for us.
Yeah.
That you weren't like, well, we're not sure either. We're just going to wing this thing. So.
Well, I think that goes to the other side of what we do with, we work with people who haven't been through it before, but we also work with a number of agencies who have to go through a lot of different projects on a regular basis, and they need to rely on somebody who has the expertise, who they can call and say, "Hey, we know what we need to do, and SSP, we need you to go get the drawings together. We need you to go file with these agencies. We need to get the specs together. We need to know that we have an architect that can do X, Y, and Z and work with you regularly. We need to know that this is not your first time going through a school project, for example.
Right.
And you know the process, because I have all these other things I need to do. I need to know that you can do this reliably. Go do it." Right. And that's the other aspect of what we bring to the table. So.
Yeah, I think it's a very complicated architecture. I think is much more than just design. There's so much more to it that I learned. I think being in New Jersey is another level of just layers and layers of chaos that you have to work your way through. But I think SSP, one of the things I've loved about SSP is that there are a lot of things here in the partnership that might not be the most obvious opportunity for SSP to get some exposure, whether it's through different groups in here at the chamber or different things in the community. But SSP is not just it's not just looking for that type of immediate exposure. It's looking to be a part of the Somerville community, the Somerset County business community. So I think that goes to a big part of your legacy as well.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of why we do it. Every time we revisit the why of what we do, it's building the communities. So it's transforming the communities in one way or another. And the way we can do it is through buildings, and buildings are what transforms things a lot of times. So.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I heard one time is that nobody can avoid architecture. One way or another, you can't avoid it. You can not listen to music. You can avoid looking at art, but you can't avoid architecture.
That's true. Yeah.
Well, I think that's it's architecture. Not only is it from a business standpoint, but obviously it's in everyday life when it comes to your home.
Yeah.
And I think the amount of change that your world's undergone since the pandemic, right? We bring everything back full circle. About finding a place where the employee wants to be in the office, that's tough. That's really tough. Is there any, before we go over to our 5 faves portion of this, is there any project or anything trend that you're seeing within the industry that you think kind of threads the needle through all different types of businesses?
Yeah, I think part of it is kind of what you touched on, is getting a space that's actually engaging and healthy, right? And it's something that really keeps people interested in coming in. As far as the workspace is concerned, something that's engaging, something that wants to bring people back. And I can use our own space as an example, because we renovated and actually moved during the pandemic, right? In our old space, we weren't able to bring everybody back in because of the way the space was configured. But once we moved, we were able to bring everybody back in because we were spread out. But, with the space, with the openness of it, with the design of it and the daylighting and things like that, we still had the option that people could work remote, but I think because of the design of it, people were willing to come back in. We probably had about a 90% return rate, optional, right? And I think it's because of the space and because of the people we have. It's just the culture that we had. We generally had people coming back in. And I think a lot of people are realizing the impact that design and space, the buildings can have on productivity and the culture, the health, at a hospital, how it can improve the recovery rates of people, schools on the attendance and the test scores and all those things. All those things, the building can improve all that. So I think people are starting to realize that.
I definitely agree. I feel like even coming from our old space to here, there's been a huge improvement in being able to have like a better office environment.
That's great.
In general.
Oh, yeah. Yes. No, I think you hit the nail on the head. Before we go to 5 faves, I just want to give a shout out to our sponsors of the podcast, Unity Bank, Techie Geek, the County of Somerset, for investing in this space. You'll be going to be hearing more from Techie Geek and Unity Bank coming up on some future editions of the podcast, but I just wanted to give them a shout out. If there are any companies out there that are interested in being a sponsor, an advertiser on the podcast, please let us know. We'll be unveiling sponsorship and marketing opportunities for the podcast in early 2025. And without further ado, I'll hand it over to Kira for our last segment.
Before we get into 5 faves, I have one other question.
Sure.
What was your favorite project in all your years at SSP that you've worked on?
You're asking me to pick. That's like asking me to pick my favorite child.
Everybody has one.
I'm gonna narrow it down to 2, if that's okay.
Okay.
One of them was a new school down in Neptune, and it was my favorite because I learned a lot from this one, and it was one where the owner really pushed everybody on the team to learn about green technology and sustainability, and learned about new construction techniques and geothermal design. But it also ran into a lot of problems, construction delays and things like that. And so I ended up on the site for over a year full time. So I got to see hands-on a lot of construction techniques. So I learned so much from the technical side and just the personal side and the management side from that. Then I would say another one would be the mixed-use building here in Somerville, where Salted Lime and Turf and Serve are, because it's, again, building communities, right? Just seeing that part of town just turned around over time. And I remember that's where the old Somerville aluminum was, right? Yeah. And there was a little house right next to that had seen 3 or 4 restaurants over the years. I don't know if you may remember it, Chris. It just had seen a restaurant come and go, right? And it just never survived because it was so small. But now, new building there, Turf and Serve has been in there ever since it opened, right?
Yeah.
So you can, to me, that's a testament of, something that's makes it more sustainable. Yeah. And you see people going in and out of there and a lot more vibrant.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's extended to downtown too.
Exactly. Yeah, nobody used to go down that way until those got put there. So
cool. So those are 2 of my favorites.
Awesome. Love it. All right. So let's get into the 5 faves.
All right.
All right. Speaking of turf and surf and
Yeah.
salted lime, what is your favorite place to eat in Somerset County?
All right. Well, I'm going to have to stay around the Somerville area because I don't. And apologies to the rest of Somerset County, but I do stick around Somerville quite a bit. I'm gonna go towards. So if I go for like business lunches and things like that, I'm going to go towards Savor.
Okay. We love Savor.
Yeah, I like Savor. Yep. Nice mix of things.
Yeah.
Great salad. And if I'm going for a quick sandwich, Boma 520. And then Turf Surf and Earth is a great burger.
They have so many
Great-
options
So many
there.
options.
Yeah.
And,
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So what's your favorite business partnership event?
Well, I might be a little partial to the ELC events because as a co-chair over the last couple of years. But I think those have always been interesting to me because I've had a little bit of an impartiality to government connections. One, given the line of work that I do, but my grandfather was a state representative back in Indiana.
Cool.
So I just had kind of an interest in politics and government connections. So.
How
The
could you
ELC.
beat it? How could you beat a lunch for $30? That's
Exactly. And that doesn't hurt. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we already, I guess, went
Yeah,
over
we can skip that one.
favorite project. So, what's your favorite team building activity you've done with your
Oh,
staff?
that we do at SSP. I certainly like the times that we go to the ballpark. We do an annual ballpark event. Because that was one of our projects. Again, hard to pick because we do a lot of little ones. We get the elf on the shelf out. And we do little things
gosh.
around. Everybody has to do one each day, around the office. So
Got to keep it lively.
do that. We did the escape room recently, trivia night. We just
Little things here and there.
little things here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. What's your favorite vacation spot when you need to get out of Somerset County?
I would have to go towards like New England stuff. So my
Okay.
wife and I spent a couple years up in Massachusetts while she went to grad school, and so Western Mass, Martha's Vineyard.
Okay. I've never been up there
Are
yet.
you a leaf peeper?
I love fall. I mean, this time of year. Yes, we're recording this in the fall.
Yeah.
I don't know when you're watching this, folks, but
Yeah.
we are. I am a fall person, and yes, but love going back to Martha's Vineyard. So, but
Yeah, I've heard nice things about that. Never been. Definitely have to go. Cool.
Well, Marcus, thank you for being on the Scoop podcast. SSP has been an instrumental partner. There's a bunch of things that we do that are intertwined. Thank you so much for your time, and until we see you again.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you. I'm like, is the music going?
We just rolled with it.
Yeah, I know. I didn't